My question is, why the system needs a civil servant? So to avoid the corruptions, a transparency is must. The syllabus of this, the first, as we talk the government policies, so here we are talking about the schemes of the government, whatever the scheme like Digital India. So let make the class an interactive class, a two-way class, not the only I who should speak, rather you should also speak, you should also ask the questions. The interactive class will help you to understand the concept very easily and in a very good manner, and it will also help you to write the answer. So our model of the class will be based on the concept basis which has been given in the UPSC syllabus. We are going to stick to the syllabus of the UPSC. We are not going beyond that syllabus which has not been mentioned in UPSC, right? But UPSC syllabus, what they have mentioned has been a holistic pattern. So we need to understand the first of the syllabus. So as you all have said that this is going to be the first attempt, you have never been attempted. Have you gone through the previous year paper at least? Have you seen the previous year paper? Mains? No. Anyone from the class? Okay. So this governance part is a part for the mains, or they have asking questions in prelims also? Any idea about this? Sorry? Prelims. Like any questions? Schemes, right? So scheme is not basically related to the governance, but it's a part of the social justice. Though we have to study the scheme, so to understand the part of the governance, we need to understand. So this scheme you have to prepare, not only for this part of the governance, rather for also the Indian society, for also the economy, for also the paper one also you need to prepare the schemes deliberately. Like if you go through the some notes in the market, they will also say that the bodies, constitutional bodies or non-constitutional bodies, judicial body or non-judicial bodies or quasi-judicial bodies were asked in types of governance, but they are strictly strict to the polity sections of the syllabus, right? So first here we will start with the discussions of the syllabus. We will see the syllabus, and I will request you all that after when you have been starting or preparing for this, the two thing is must that you have all should have with you. The first is a syllabus, not a market syllabus, the market which is given by the in the market, rather a syllabus which has been prescribed by the UPSC itself. Second, a previous year question paper from 2013. And why from the 2013 we are talking about the previous year question paper? The syllabus for the mains was changed in 2013. Though syllabus for prelims was changed in 2011 when the CSET was included, right? An optional subject from the prelims was eradicated and CSET paper second was added to the prelims. But main syllabus was changed in 2013 when GS earlier there was 2 GS paper, right? Now they have made the 4 GS paper along with the essay. Are you getting my points? So I think that you would be aware about the changes in the syllabus. Now after the changes in the syllabus, they have added some part, or you can say that some portions in the syllabus on the basis logical reasons. Like one of the example is governance. Earlier, the governance was part of politics which has been asked in examinations. Now they have made separately a governance as a topic inside the syllabus. Is it clear? So first we will start discussing the syllabus. Now before this, what is governance? First of all, we need to understand the term governance. What is governance? Act done by government or authority. Authority means example, government or authority who is looking for the affairs of the society. Is this governance? So we can say that the governance cannot be in picture without the government. So governance cannot exist without the government? Yes or no? So to existence of governance, a government is necessary? No. So for existence of governance, there is no need, or we can say that for the governance, the government is one of the part of the governance, but not rather a main characteristic of the government. So to understand it, we can understand through this, that suppose this is governance. So government is a part of this. Government is a part of this. Now when we go to the syllabus, when we discuss the syllabus, we'll come to know that government is one of the alignment of the governance, not rather the dependence of governance on the government. Are you getting my point? So what can else come under the governance? Like NGOs, civil societies, pressure groups. Have you heard about the NGOs? Non-government organizations. What do the NGOs do as a functions? If we talk about the role of the NGOs, what are the role of the NGOs in society? Promoting welfare, promoting awareness, anything else? Cooperating with the management, with the government. Now, as we know that the government as an entity is not sufficient to reach at the lowest level, right? So to fulfill that gap where the government cannot reach, cannot deliver the delivery systems to the lowest part, this NGOs or civil societies plays a role. So you might be heard about that Bachpan Bachao Andolan. Yes or no? Where they are focusing on the educations of our children, where the government is not in a position to provide the last run of the educations. So some NGOs will provide them an employment, or you can say the skilled management systems, like teaching them an vocational training, giving them the computer training systems, providing them with the handicraft, some skill based labor under Skill India, and for that they are taking as an fund from the government to provide the necessities delivery to the systems, right? So governance is not exist only on the basis of government. Where there is no government, there will also be a governance. Am I clear? Any questions? Anyone? Is this clear or not? Right? So we can say that the governance is an authority of an economic, political and administrative management of a government at all level. At the central level, at the state level, at the local level. So this is a definition of governance, but the governance has not been defined in any part of the constitutions. It has not been defined by the any authority, but the some definition is given by the UN or UNDP. What is governance meant to be? Is this clear? So now let's come to the syllabus, discussion of the syllabus of governance. So before discussing this, let's see the trend in the examinations from these sections. This is trend from the last 10 years questions, which has been asked. Number of marks has been indicated in this graph. So if you see the total number of marks, which varies from different year from in examinations, is from 25 to 50 marks questions would be there in your paper. And the number of questions is from 2 to 4 questions. It may be a 2 questions from the 10 marks and 2 questions from the 15 marks. Or there will be only 2 questions of 15 marks each. That would be your questions. So the trend of this questions rises from here, from 20 to 50 marks questions which have been asked in your examinations. And these questions were directly from the topic. As we know that the paper 2 contains 250 marks questions total. Right? Out of these 250, approx 20 to 50 marks questions will be from governance sections, or out of 20 questions, 2 to 4 questions will be from the governance sections. Right? So this is a graph that in 2013 when it was introduced, it has been, there was a 40 marks question has been asked. Now when we talk about the graph or number of questions, this part is excluded of the schemes of the government. Like those all the schemes. Sorry? Yeah, schemes and policies of the government, that act of the government, that is not been included in this, which is directly been asked, like role of the civil societies in democracy or in India, how the NGOs has been functioning, pressure group is functioning in this country, like what is e-governance, what is good governance, how it has been helping in good governance, SHGs, self-help groups. So these are the basically direct questions which have been asked. So these number of questions were excluded from the schemes. So schemes is not been included in this sections. If we include the schemes, this will rise to the 50 to 80 numbers of marks in your examinations when we include the schemes of the government. So in this class, we are not going to deal with the schemes. That is the scheme you have to prepare by yourself. That is scheme is directly come from the direct questions will be there in the from the schemes, right? Whatever the schemes is in news. We will only dealing in this part is a theoretical part of the governance. It's clear? Now let's move to the syllabus. The syllabus of this, the first, as we talk the government policies, so here we are talking about the schemes of the government, whatever the scheme, like Digital India, right? Then there is an Jan Dhan Yojana, sorry, Ujjwala Yojana, delivery systems, pension Yojana, Atal Bima Yojana, like these are the schemes which has been developed by the government, that has to be, and the schemes only to be which is central government is developed, that has to be prepared by yourself, and the questions on the basis of schemes will be direct, that what are its objective, principles, and how does it functions, and what are the challenges in the schemes or shortcomings of the schemes, that has to be prepared. Clear? And when we comes to the second, that is development process and the development industries, the role of NGOs, SSGs, various groups and associations. Now, as we have seen that the governance is not only rely on the government, right? The NGOs and SSGs also has to play their role in implementing or for the delivery of the governance. So, or we can say that these along with the government, NGOs, SHGs, pressure groups, they all club together and they perform the governance in the country. So because of this, we need to study all of these small sections also, like what is the role of the NGOs, how it has been governed in India, the role NGOs are been governed, right? What are the drawbacks of the what are the shortcomings of the NGOs, the difficulties in functionings of the NGOs, that has to be done, and how this SHG's self-help group is also functioning. So this all has to be clubbed together and have to be studied in this, because they are forming a part of the governance of India. Is this clear? Right? So governance is not only applied in the government sections, rather it is also applied to the non-government sections or in a private sections also. Any management, any company, they also having a governance part. Yes or no? The policy, the formation of policy is a part of government, but implementations of those policies, the look after the delivery of those policies is a part of the governance. So these small entities or this development industries like NGOs and SHGs help the government in implementing those policies and helping them to deliver the promised to the citizens. Is it clear? Now in the next, that is third, important aspects of governance, which means a good governance. What is good governance? What is governance? So we have seen governance, authority to manage the economic, political and administrative authority of the country's resources all over the country. What is good governance? Sushashan. Which type of governance you are going to call as a good governance? That is, this governance is good. What if you need to rate a governance on a merit of good, bad, excellence, so which type of governance you are going to merit as a good governance? A governance means delivery systems governance, where the implementations, right? Now those systems which held responsible to the authority which is responsible for the delivering is responsible or not, accountable or not, where he's applied the rule of law or not, which you have said, right? So implementations of responsibility, accountability, participations, transparency, an act of rule of law has to be implemented. That type of governance is known as a good governance. So governance implementing the schemes, good governance where all these entities, that transparency should be maintained, a rule of law should be followed, a participation should be there, right? And where that accountability should be established, the failure of the authority should be established, should be punished, yes or no? You might have read in the politics about the responsibility of the minister. Responsibility of a ministers, have you read or not? How many types of responsibility do the ministers have? Modern responsibility, moral. What is moral responsibility? So constitutions talks about moral responsibility. Do Indian government ministers, India has a responsible government? Yes, a parliamentary form of government, a cabinet system government, yes or no? Right? And we have adopted a parliamentary system of government from UK, right? British model government. Do India and British model have a same responsibility? What is the difference between an Indian responsible government and a British responsible government? No, I'm not talking about the democratic republic. I'm talking in the terms only in the terms of responsibility. When we are talking about the responsibility, answerable. Yes or no? The Council of Ministers is responsible to the Lok Sabha, specifically to the Lok Sabha. So here responsibility means what? आप कुछ कह रहे थे? Okay. जी. अरे बैठ कर. Level of scrutiny means what? So ministers are prosecuted. They can be called in a court of justice. No, I'm not talking about the privileges. Abhi aap confused. I'm talking about the responsibility. Answerable. Yeah, answerable. What does this mean? I'm asking this. What does this mean? Yeah. Answerable to that, right? So there are two types of responsibilities related to Council of Ministers and constitutions. One is collective responsibility. Collectively, they are responsible to the lower houses. You might have heard about they swim together and they sing together. So if no confidence motion is passed against the Council of Ministers, they have to resign from the office, right? Now the second is individual responsibility. Individually, each minister is responsible to each minister is like collective responsibility. Council of Minister is responsible to Lok Sabha. Yes or no? Yes or no? Right? And individually, each minister is responsible to, answerable to whom? President, because they are on the pleasure of president. President can remove them any times, and removal of a minister is not amount to be the removal of a council of ministers. Are you getting my point? So responsibility means taking the responsibility of the action they do and the action they do not take. Like suppose take an incidence of railway incidents. If some mishappen, there is one mishappen, a very huge mishappen has been done, by the railways in recently in Orissa. Have you heard, right? So Balasore. So that is a failure of the machinery. So all the responsibility has to be taken by the minister individually, not by the government. If the government is lacking its number in the house, majority, we have one of the feature of the parliamentary form of government is a majoritarian government, majoritarian rule. The party which has a majority of the number of seats in its favor will form a government. This is the rule, yes or no? So if it is lacking in the number in the house will bring a no confidence motions against that government and the government has to resign. But if it is not lacking in a number, so individual ministers will have a individual responsibility and he has to answer in the house. House cannot remove that ministers from his portfolio. They can demand that the minister should be resigned from his. There was a demand that Ashwini Vaishnaw has to resign from his office, but he has not resigned because the sole authority to remove him is a president. But he has to take the responsibility of the actions, though it is not a failure on his part, rather a failure on his ministry, on his staff agencies. When we will move to the civil society, when we will move to the civil services in a democracy, we will see, here we will see the structure of the governance, how it is functioning. Have you heard about the central secretariat? Yes? Cabinet secretariat, PMOs, Prime Minister office. So what are they? They are a staff agency to the minister. So when we talk about the government, we are not talking only about the elected representative, executive. So government, we are talking about the executive or legislature. Government is an executive or legislature? No legislature? Legislature is a part of government. So opposition, leader of opposition is a part of government. So when there was no leader of opposition in the house, the matter of national importance has not been discussed. Government means council of ministers. And when council of ministers. And when we talk executive, government, we are talking always about the executive. Now when we talk about the legislature, we are talking about the parliament, which include so when we talk about the legislature, so this include the parliament, right? Now this parliament, president, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, all the members of this, whether they have been elected directly, indirectly, or they have been nominated to the house. This is the legislature, right? Now when we talk about the executive part, because as we know that we have a separation of power, executive, the organs of the government has been bifurcated, executive, legislature and judiciary. So when we talk about the executive, so we're talking only about the government. Now government means we have a council of ministers. Majority, the party which will have a majority in the house out of 545 seats, number of seats, the party which will be in a position to secure the 50% plus 1 number of seats in the house will form a government. Yes or no? Right? So the government means the party which is in the power and the council of ministers. But this is the not the we can say a complete form of government. This is a half of the government. So when we talk about the government, we are talking about two things, that is two types of executive. First one is permanent executive. Permanent executive means you all, civil servant who is a part of they are also part of executive, right? Now what is the functions of executive? To formulate a plan, to draft any schemes of the plan, and to implement those plans. This is a part of the executive. They are not in a positions to formulate the plans. The formulations of a plan or formulations of a law will be done by the legislature, because we have a parliamentary form of government. Yes or no? Is it clear? Now when we talk about the executives, we are talking about the two types of executive. One is permanent executive, that is civil servant, right? Now second types of executive which we are talking is temporary executives, that is elected representative. So these two clubbed together formed an executive of country or a government, right? So when we are studying about the governance, we are studying that along with the government. Now when we talk about the government, we are talking about two different entities, that is permanent and temporary executive, plus NGOs, self-help groups, pressure groups. Then there is a media also, which also helps, right? And many other organizations, all clubbed together help in establishment of a governance of a country. Yes or no? It's clear? Now when we talk about the good governance, what we are discussing, so when they will be held responsible for their action. Now they are responsible answerable in the House, legislature, this temporary executive representatives. But though this permanent executive are responsible, answerable to anyone? No. Red tapeism. Suna apne lal fita sahi? Red tapeism, you might have heard about the red tapeisms, right? Rigidity. One of the criticisms of the civil services in India is that they have become an wooden, that you can say that they have become a rigid. This shows the intolerance behavior towards the citizens. Though they are a servant of a public, still they are showing the wooden heart towards the public. A simple man getting very difficult to meet or to consult and civil servant at the lowest level, also at the BDO also. एक BDO साहब से मिलने के लिए बहुत करेज चाहिए, तो सर ये काम करा दो. Though they are a civil servants. So this part, and why this behavior of this civil servant has occurred? Because of the non-accountability and non-responsibilities of that. When any act of the government is not done or done, have to be answered by the temporary in the House, but they are not answerable to anyone, not to the House, not to the public. So making them accountable, making a transparency in the systems, that they should be, the services should be tracked, the delivery system should be accountable and should be tracked by the citizens. They also made them accountable, and making an accountable and transparency in the systems and allowing the rule of law to be followed in the governance part makes a governance as a good governance. Is it clear or not? Any doubt? Any questions? Anyone? It's clear? See, to understand the governance, one thing should be clear, that you have a clear concept related to polity. Well, this is not, now in today's time, not a single topic of any subject individually is alienated from other. It is an interlink. So to understand of any topic, it is very necessary that the substantive topic has to be cleared. So polity has to be cleared, and it is based on that governance. Governance is not existing independence of polity of this country. how the government funds, what is the functions of the government, or what are the organs of the government, what are the role of the executive and legislature. That has to be very clear. Then only we will be in a position to understand the governance part. Is it clear or not? ठीक है, चलिए, let's move to the next. So here we are seeing that aspects of governance, that is good governance, which is to be a transparent. Now we have come to know about the transparency. It should be open, it should not be opaque. A secrecy of any government or secrecy of any individual leads to the corruption. Do you understand this? Corruptions will be there where there is a secrecy, where there is a secret. But it is open to all, a transparency, so there will be less chances of being a corruptions in the systems. So to avoid the corruptions, a transparency is must. This is transparency. Now when we talk about the accountability, holding responsibility, right? Now again we are coming to the accountability, as we know that the ministers are accountable to the people of the house, right? And through that house to the people, because the ultimate source of the power is people. You, me, and everyone citizen of India is the ultimate source of the power. We provide sources, power to the constitutions, and the constitution guide the executive or legislature or the government to function as a identities. Yes or no? Right? So ministers not directly answerable to the people, but indirectly answering to the people through the parliament. Right? So when we talk about the accountability, so it has a two features, or we can say that two dimensions. The first, they are being made to the answerable of their act. So first is answerable to the act. Whatever the act they have done, or they in their capacity, or the action they do not take in the capacity which is necessary to be taken, they have to be answered in the house, in the Lok Sabha, right? And through the house they are answering to the people. Yes. Now second dimensions of the accountabilities which leads to the punishment. Do the ministers have been punished? Yes, they are been thrown out from the government if they are not been in a positions to run the government, if they are not doing anything against the corruptions. Like you can see the 2014, before the 2014 there was a anti-incumbents in the government of the coal block corruptions, 2G spectrum corruptions, 2010 to 2014 period, coal corruptions, 2G spectrum corruptions. There was a corruptions in the systems, right? So which leads to the punishment, which either they would be punished by the house by passing and no confidence motion against them, or if we come to your point as a moral accountability, like in elections, they will be thrown out by the people out of the power. So accountability, whenever we are talking about the accountability, we are talking about the two things. That is, first, the person is been accountable, answerable to the authority, anyone, any authority, not only to the people. Rather, suppose that if the permanent executive has committed any untowards or any crimes within their capacity, they have to answer to the minister. Yes or no? Right? Now, recently you can see a recent news that there was one probationary IAS officer whose mother is to done something wrong with the gun and everything. She made an accountable. Has to be answer about the notice. A notice been served, right? And in the form of second form of punishment, in the answerable, she has been removed, called back to the labasna. Are you getting my point? Why? Because of the accountability. So when the permanent executive, though they are not responsible to the citizens, rather they are been accountable to the ministers, right? So they have to answer about their act, what they have done, and if something wrong has been fishy has been found in their act, they will be removed, or they will be transferred, or they will be suspended, or inquiry would be there. Like many IAS officer now, they have been caught with the crores of rupees in their house. So they will be, first there will be an inquiry against them. So they have to answer what is the source of that money, and there will be transferred. ठीक है? So this can also be a very lucrative, कि जाने के बाद आपके पास बहुत पैसा आ सकता है. When you got selected, you will have an access to a tijori of the government, right? So where you can have a lot of money. But the one drawback is that you can also be suspended. It's clear? So this is an accountability, right? Next in the section is e-governance. Now we have seen the governance, we have seen the good governance. Now we are talking about the e-governance. So what is e-governance? E-governance, what does the term E stands for? E-seva, electronic, right? Now when we talk about the E, electronic, what does we mean by that? एक करके. Use of digital platform, okay. Presence of government. आप फोन पे करते हैं तो डायरेक्ट आरबीआई पैसा देती है आपको. One of the example, I'm just making a conversations. One of the example of phone pay, yes or no? Making, yes. आ रहा हूं. E-governance related to delivery of see, these are the examples I'm asking. When we talk about the electronic governance, what do we mean by the electronic governance? Same. You are giving an example. No, I'm not asking about the example. I'm asking the concept of electronic governance. This is again an example. Like we are using an Google Meet in the class. Yes or no? We are using a Google Meet. This is one of the example of e-governance. Right? We have promised you, so we are delivering through the Zoom class. Example of that. I'm asking, when we say that e-governance means electronic, what do you mean by the electronic governance? Uses of technology, uses of information and communication technology in the governance. And when we talk about the uses of ICT, information and communication technology, it means we are talking about the WAN, wide area network. Any example for WAN? Example. अब मैं example की बात कर रहा हूँ, आप दे सकते हैं. Any example of WAN, using of WAN? BSNL acts on WAN. Any other example? The example which we used in our daily life. ATM machine. ATM dispense, cash dispense machines. आप किसी भी remote locations पे whenever you go, you find an ATM. आप वहाँ से पैसे निकाल लेते हैं. वहाँ कोई इंटरनेट की सुविधा नहीं है. Still it has been dispensed. The reason? It's work on a wide area network. It is directly connected to the server, which is in the wider area, right? So uses of an WAN, like dispensary systems, like vending machine for the ticket. Whenever you go to the metro stations, nowadays the Delhi Metro has installed a vending machine where you go and purchase the ticket. No need to go to the counter. Similarly, in the railway stations also, a platform ticket would be purchased from the vending machine. Yes or no? Whenever you go to the any airport or any malls, there you can purchase an Coke, chips from a vending machine. Just put a coin or required number of rupees and then you can get a bottle of water or a bottle of Coke. Yes or no? Vending machines working on an WAN. Are you getting my point? So uses of an WAN and wide area network into the electronic systems, which make a delivery system seamless, a faster, which also stop the leakage of a corruptions. DBT, direct benefit transfer. Have you heard about this? What is DBT? Why the DBT has been introduced? To stop the corruptions. Because one of our middlemen, that is corruptions, right? That one of our former Prime Minister has says that when a center release 100 paisa, the required or the beneficiary was getting only 1 paisa, 99 paisa was lost in between in corruptions. So to avoid that corruptions, to eliminate that corruptions, now the government has come up with the Jandan, DBT, then Jandan Yojana. Yes or no? Jam Trinity. Have you heard about the Jam Trinity? Jandan Aadhaar mobile linkage. So there will be one bank account which is linking everyone. Now this example of linking of everyone into the bank account, it means it is making a participations of everyone into the governance. So through the scheme of the government of Jandhan scheme, we can say that now why the Jandhan has been launched? What the motive behind the Jandhan schemes? No, not digitalizations. Now I'm asking about only the Jandhan bank account. Have you heard about the Jandhan bank account? To inclusion, it's an example of an inclusive growth. It's an example of inclusive progress. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. There's a motive of the government, yes or no? So this Jandhan now, as before this, before the Jandhan bank was opened, there was a status says that the majority in the rural areas, they're lacking a bank account. And if a person having no bank accounts, they cannot get an advantage of the loan which has been dispersed by the central government or a government for them. Small scale financial schemes are there, like Mudra Yojana was there. So to avail these systems, a bank account has to be there, right? So government initially they have tried to open a bank account with the zero balance of every individuals who do not have a facility to open a bank account. Through this, it shows that through the Jandhan Yojana, the government has moved towards the inclusive growth. Because one of the good governance feature is participations. Now, when we talk about the participations, we are not talking about the only enjoyment of a beneficiaries. Rather, every individual should act in the formations of policies. Yes or no? Right? Like example, you can you might be have learned that you have given us adult suffrage. India has an adult suffrage, universal adult suffrage. What does this mean? What right do you get through the adult and only right to vote? What are the implications of an universal adult suffrage? It means taking participation in the formation of government. Yes or no? Taking participation in the formation of policies. On the account of voting pattern, the government will take decisions on the pattern in the policies, formations of policies. So through voting, you are getting a right to participate in the formations of policies. You are getting a right to participate in the formations of government, right? Because the elected members were representative of the peoples. Are you getting my point? Similarly, when we talk about the participations in the governance, we are talking about that the peoples will not only having or enjoying the benefit of beneficiaries. They're not only receiving at the receiving end, rather they're also actively participate in formulation of the policies. This is a participations. And by including of the participations, this is called a good governance. Where inclusive governance, when we talk about the inclusive governance, yes or no? So Jandhan bank account, by opening a bank account to every individuals in this country, the government has moved towards the inclusive growth. Are you getting my point? Yes or no? Right? Now when the Aadhaar number of an individuals is linked with the bank account with the mobile number, it means the direct, now it acts after linking the JAM, that is Jandhan Aadhaar Mobile Bank Yojana, would be a direct benefit transfer. Subsidies of a gas, subsidies for the any other subsidies, right? Then a payment for the like Manrega payment, earlier pensions payment, all will not be now onwards will not be given to the through the third channel, rather it will be directly transferred to the bank account of a beneficiaries, which will leads to the stoppage, not stoppage but reduction in the linkage or leakage of the systems, which will also reduce the corruptions in the systems, which will also move towards the transparency in the systems, which moves towards the good governance in the systems. So while using the electronic systems in the government is moving towards the good governance. Are you getting my point? Right? Now, the WAN has been used in the electronic, mobile internet. Now every services is on your fingertip. Whether you want to deposit a money, whether you want to transfer a money to any person, for that you do not need to now go to the bank, any particular bank or any individual. Just you make a NEFT or direct transfer from the certain limit of money to anyone, right? If you want to pay anyone for a small amount, also for larger amount, also use a app, Bheem UPI, that has been run on the Phone Pay, Google Pay, Paytm. There are a lot of payment app, right? When earlier when you need to book a ticket, you need to visit to the railway stations for the booking of a ticket of railways. Now on app you can book your ticket online. Bus ticket can be booked online. Even the auto can be booked online. Cab, bike, right? Still the cycle is not available on an app, but till bike we can book online. Cycle भी है. अच्छा योनो cycle. Yes, योनो. Right? So this, and by using the electronic systems, please भावनाओं में नहीं बहेंगे. So when we talk about the uses of electronic, it means seamless delivery of a systems. Delivery systems will make more easy, more convenient. Now everyone, as we know that smartphone is now is a part and parcel of everyone's lives, right? पहले क्या था, रोटी कपड़ा मकान. Now रोटी कपड़ा मकान plus data, which is necessary. Yes or no? So through this, every services of the government. Now if you want to fill any form of a government, आप UPSC का फॉर्म भरना है, तो where just online अपने मोबाइल लैपटॉप से आप you can fill and submit. There is no need to go and purchase the hard copy of the form and then submit it to them, right? Yes or no? Now if you want to submit any DD or any, there is always cancel. Now you just pay through the phone and everything. So this is not only making delivery system seamless, rather it is also helping to preserve the environment also. अब पेपर की खपत कम होगी. Yes or no? Right? There will be an less amount of, then there will be an helpful to the environment also. So this good governance through the electronic governance, helping the environment also to be sustainable environment we are getting. Are you getting my point? Right? Then its applications, models, types of models. Like in electronic governance, we can say the one of the best citizen charter. After the introductions of the electronic governance, there is a need that this should be delivered through the citizen charter. Now, when we talk about the citizen charter, what do we mean by that? No, not RTI. Citizen charters, what is citizen charter? Sorry? Services which are necessary to the citizens, like so citizen charter basically is a commitment of a government or any organizations, right? अब मैं आपको समझाता हूँ. Let's take it this way. Whenever you go to any colleges for admissions or any institutions for admissions, you got a prospectus. Yes or no? आप यहाँ पर आए, you might have a prospectus. Now the institutions and the institutions promises that what we are going to deliver is been mentioned in the prospectus. Now why it is necessary? That if something has been written, then on the basis of that you will be in a position to demand that services if that services has not been delivered to you. Are you getting my point? Yes or no? So citizen chartered is a kind of promises made by the organizations, rather by the government organizations or any private organizations, that what type of, सर आपसे पूछो, इज ऑल राइट? ठीक लग रहा हूं? नहीं आप हंस रहे हैं इसलिए. So citizen charter is basically a promises made by the government organizations or any particular individual organizations, that now what does it includes? That what services we are going to provide, what are the redressal mechanism do we have, like suppose that if we do not deliver any services on the due time, so what are the remedies available to the customers, to them? Yes or no? Like suppose that you pay any amount to any individuals through your phone pay, ठीक है? Now sometimes it happen due to the technical glitch कि amount deduct हो जाए आपके account से, but it does not, the payment was not made, right? So the RBI says that within a period of 7 days it will be reverted to your account. But what if not? Then there is an ombudsman was there, that you need to file the complaint, and on the basis of that, that can be delivered. There is a system mechanism. So that is an, so citizen charter talking not only about the promises of the organizations, rather it at the same time it is also talking about the mechanisms how to resolve that issues. If any issues, if the delivery was, if the system or the services is not delivered according to the promises made by the organizations. So this is basically a citizen charter, what we're talking about, the models of the e-governance or a good governance. Are you getting my point? And one of the you can say that effective form of citizen charter which has been suggested by the second administrative reform commissions, that in ARC, is Sevottam. Seva mein uttam, Sevottam model. That we will see during this our classes also. Are you getting my point? Right? That how the excellence of services will be done, how we can improve our service delivery in excellent ways by reducing the corruptions, right? Then how the corruptions can be reduced? Now again there is an institutional, that is social audit. Social audit. So what is audit? Scrutiny of the receipts, right? Expenditure, scrutiny of the what amount has been allocated and whether that same amount has been expended or not on the concerned services or not, right? Like PAC is been doing for the Public Account Committee is doing for the government on the basis of a report of CAG, Controller and Auditor General. Yes or no? Now when we talk about the social audit, what does this mean? Social audit is based on quality of assets. Example आपने सही दिया. Social audits means where the people were involved in auditing. Or sometimes the audit has been done by the government. They appoint an auditing committee, they come and audit the expenditure of the government or any machinery, right? Now when we talk about the social audit, it means the people were involved in auditing about the expenditure. Through the mechanism of social audit, we have been ensuring the accountability and we have been in positions to restore the responsibility, that who has been in the at the end of responsible for the mishappening has been done in the systems. Yes or no? Are you getting my point? Is it clear? So in this we will also see the social audits. So here we have seen that under the third topic, which is a governance, we will see the governance, then we will move to the good governance. Now the types, what are the features of good governance, we will also see. What are the benefits of the good governance, like fair, transparent, like we can say rule of law. These are the benefits of the good governance. Then we will move towards the e-governance types, and then what is e-governance and how it is helpful, right? Then we will move to the citizen charters. So this all will be done, and the questions were asked directly from this topic, and this topic in examinations, and these are the topic from the schemes which has been run by the government. So whatever we are going to discuss in the class, and the class model will be on the basis of this, that after finishing each of the topic, the questions for the mains which has been asked, I will provide you the questions and we will discuss the questions, and I will let you write the answer by your own, right? I will dictate you the matter related to the topic, but I will not dictate you the answer. Are you getting my point? I will dictate you the terms or the concept related matter with the topic, then I will provide you the questions with the topic, then you need to write that questions by your own. We will discuss that, and then if you face any problem while writing that answer, then also we can discuss what is the problem and where you are facing the problems. Is this clear? Okay. And the last in the topic is role of civil services in democracy. So here we will see what is civil services, why civil services is requirement, or there, why there is a need of a civil service, why there is a need of civil service, why you have been required, why the government should give you the job of a civil servant. So civil service role is to implement implement laws, policies. आपका रोल implement करना होगा. Serve the people. Okay. Say this, I'm answering this questions, the requirement of a civil service is also, you have been preparing that why should government hire you? Hey, why you should want to become a civil servant? So we need to understand the role of a civil servant in society. Ji. To provide ground level governance. Okay. But why we required a civil servant? Okay, ठीक है. But civil, we can hire anyone. Why civil servant? We can hire a staff for that. Why a civil servant? Okay. आप तो ऐसे भी डीएम से भी डायरेक्ट नहीं मिल सकते, एमपी से तो मिल भी सकते हैं. आप अपने एरिया के एमएलए एमपी से तो मिल भी सकते हैं, बट डीएम से मिलना तो ऐसे भी मुश्किल है. जब आप बनेंगे आपको खुद पता चलेगा, आप मिलेंगे नहीं लोगों से. फिर भी नहीं, yes, they are related to the public servants, so they are related to government. My question is why the system needs a civil servant? Huh. Yes, this is one of the part, but I am asking the main reasons for having a civil servant. See, you said that help the government in making decisions, but at the local level, when the panchayat election is done, right, is there any civil servant between the ward member and the people? At the district level, but I am talking about the village level. So main purpose of having a civil servant is that as a modern society evolve, there are a lot of new challenges and the new areas has been evolved. In the ancient period, there is very limited wants of a people, very limited resources of the people was there. So it is easy to channelize or easy to manage their affairs, right, in ancient period or in a medieval period. But as soon as the society developed and moves toward modernizations, industrializations, many challenges come up, urbanizations, right, then a lot of new transportations and advent of the technology has also leads to the open to wider area. So these civil servants, what you all have called is correct, and I'm just summing up that they help in government. They are functioning as a staff agency, helping hand of the government in managing the affairs of the country, because as the demand or as the area of a government or the policies is wider due to the advent of moving towards the modern society, it is not possible for the government to single-handedly manage those resources or to manage the affairs of the country. So they required their helping hand. So they will help, they will provide. Now, how they are helping hand? So first, they are linkage between the government, right? Like you might have heard about the district commissions, where at the local level, so this will help that at the local level they will prepare a plan, then it will be sent to the district. Yes or no? Right? Now, one of the example we can say that earlier we have a planning commission which prepares a plan for the socialist plan. We also call sometimes as a socialist plan, right? Now we have a Niti Aayog. What is the difference between these two? Basic, fundamental difference between the Niti Aayog and yes. The planning commission's approach was from top to bottom. It means planning was, it can also say that fit for all schemes, which is not feasible. Every individual district, state or area has an individual and specific characteristics of problem that needs to be resolved through the targeted problems. Yes or no? But if you made in one scheme that this is fit for everyone, that is will not going to help in any way, right? So this is planning commission is from top to bottom approach. Now, when we talk about the top to bottom approach, we are talking that the plan policies are made at the top and they will be given that this should be implemented now. The participations of an stakeholders, as we know that in the government we are also a stakeholder as an individual. Yes or no? We put our we pay taxes, right? We pay we cast our vote, right? We take part in the formations of government, we take part in the formations of policies, right? So as a stakeholder, as an individual and as an organizations like villages at the local level, at the district, above than that, then at the state. So we all are as a stakeholder. So without consulting and stakeholders in the government, the plans were formulated at the top and then it is to be channelized or let the implementation at the bottom level, right? But now what the Niti Aayog has come up with that bottom to top approach. Now the policies, the formations of policies were done at here, at the top level, but the intake of the policies. Now the stakeholders of the government were consulted. The plans, now each district, each villages, what they want in their particular. So they formulate their own plan according to their problems. They submit to the district, then to the upper. So it moves through this way. Now the planning coming from here, formulated by they. Earlier the plan were formulated here, it was to be implemented at the bottom level. Yes or no? Right? So due to this, this helps in government, it helps the government in inclusiveness, letting everyone to participate in the formations, in the stakeholder, all of the stakeholders. Now these civil servants helps to connect from here to here. So they are not only making, or they are not only supporting the ministers or the government in formulating and implementing the plan, rather they are also acting as a bridge between the government and the last man of the society. Is it clear? Right? So here we will see the drawbacks, what are the limitations of the civil societies, what are the relations between the civil societies and ministers, because there is a to run any effective government, the relations between the two channel, the two coins, because if we see that civil service and ministers, they are the two faces of same coin. Yes or no? Right? And both has to be work aligned, then only a governance part of the government can effectively work. So relations between these two has to be an effective, harmonious relation has to be there. But there are certain relations which is been, you can say that, on the source side. So what is the reason of that, how it is impacting on the functioning of the government, that we also see, right? Like one of the relations, one of the reasons for having a so relation is that, as we all know, that in this we have seen of related to responsibility, that temporary executive are responsible to the people in the house. Ministers will be called in a house, Lok Sabha, to answer the act, whatever be done or not done, right? But while implementing, he is taking help of the permanent executive. Yes or no? So any lack on the part of permanent executive will also have to answer to the temporary executive. Are you getting my point? They are working together while implementing any plan. But suppose that at the end of the civil servant, they committed some crime or committed some corruptions, or they lack in doing in some implementations, that will be affect the ministers, because he will, as an in charge of the department, has to answer to the people through the parliament. Yes, and this will leads to the so relations between ministers and civil servant, because every ministers will be in a position that he should save his own positions, right? So this will leads that sometime they may transfer of this, or uh, terminate the service of this, everything can be done. So this is going to be a contentions between the civil servant and ministers. This is clear? This all we are going to discuss in the coming sessions, which we are going started from today. This is syllabus of governance. Any questions? Anything anyone want to ask? No? Chaliye, so let's start. हाँ जी. हाँ, that is broadcasting, media, this social networking, all is part of through that. Like now, अब हम मोबाइल पे ही लोकसभा और राज्यसभा टीवी न्यूज सुन लेते हैं. कोविड के टाइम कोविन, right? Many schemes, Digi Locker by the government, Digital India, Aadhaar, JAM. There are many examples of e-governance, e-seva, e-ticketing. Like e-seva, through e-seva, it is very easy now that you can apply for passport, and within a certain period of time your passport will be delivered. Through earlier you have to go to the concerned departments. Like now through e-governance, we can say that there is an interactions between the government and individuals or other entities is also been very easy. Like you might have heard about the single window clearance. Have you heard about this? The scheme of the government. Ease of doing business. How? What is ease of doing business? and how the electronic governance is going to help. जी बताइए. How it is ease of doing business is making a favorable conditions, or we can say that an ecosystem. Do you understand the meaning of ecosystem, right? How it is providing us ecosystems? Yes, single window clearance. So when we talk about this clearance, so what we mean that to establish any business, there is a requirement of a no objection certificates, or an you can say that GST inclusions or clearance from the different departments is required. Like fire department, there should be a clearance from the fire department, right? A GST registration should be there, right? There should be a clearance from the local authorities has to be done. And this every different individual's department, when you visit to the departments, due to the red tapeism, it leads to the corruptions also. And due to this, due to the lack of the ease of doing business, or before the inventions of the ease of doing, or not inventions, rather introductions of the ease of doing business in the government, Indian government, we are in a less favorable nations where the foreign direct investment or a company do not come and establish a business in India, because for that they required a huge amount of money to be invested before starting the business in getting clearance of their concerned department certificate. They need to run from the one office to the other office for getting clearance of each and every certificates. By introducing of this ease of doing business, a single window clearance, now from one platform, on a one platform, a persons who want to establish any business can get clearance of every department at one click. So this is an example of e-governance. How it has make a seamless services to establish a business in India, and due to this, now many foreign entities who have been in a position to establish a business in India, making inflow of the economy, resources, investment in India has been coming. So this is not only helping in the governance, rather it is also helping in economic conditions of the government. Yes or no? So through this we can also link to the economic sections. Are you getting my point? Like at the local level, if someone wants to establish a business, so first of all he need to get a clearance of fire department, a clearance of the municipal departments, whether it is feasible for the area to be have a business or not. Then registrations of GST, and then all small has to be taken permissions. So by this ease of doing business, this all can be taken at a one place with a less expensive, only to the minimum of a fees which is required by the departments, and in a very short span of time they can get all the clearance. So now starting a business in India, whether a domestic businessman or an international businessman, now it is easy through the introductions of e-governance, which is also helping in improvement in the economic financial conditions of the country. So this introductions of this electronic in the governance is not helping government only in maintaining its governance part, rather it is also helping in inflow of the investment from the direct or from the foreign or from the domestic investment. Is this clear? Right? Any more questions? Clear? Chaliye. So we'll start. What is red tapeism? लाल फीताशाही है ना, हिंदी में उसको ही कहते हैं. हाँ, सी आपको एक सीरियल आया करती थी पहले. आई एम कोटिंग एन एग्जाम्पल. ऑफिस एक सीरियल हुआ करती थी पंकज कपूर की. पता नहीं शायद आप लोगों ने देखी है, नहीं देखी है? हाँ हाँ, आई एम जस्ट गिविंग एन एग्जाम्पल. आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि अब आप जाओ और ऑफिस देखो. आई एम जस्ट कोटिंग एन एग्जाम्पल. अगर आपने वो देखी हो तो see what happens in red tapeism. So before coming of this systems, now suppose that you need a pensions or you need to avail any government services. Now suppose a condition that we do not have an electronic systems in the systems. For that we need to visit the offices. of every systems, right? Now for that, first of all, you need to fill up. इसको बहुत examples बताता हूँ मैं. Opening a bank account in a government bank. Do you have any? Do you have a bank account in government bank? And I think that very easily you might have opened your bank account, right? But earlier what happened, that when you need to open a bank account, first of all you need to fill the form, and then you submit at a one clerk. Then he will sign and he will refer to the higher. Then again he will sign and he will refer to the higher. It means delaying in the services. वो बड़े बाबू आएंगे, फिर बड़े बाबू के पास है, बड़े बाबू के पास. It means delaying of the services. And why this delays is not intentionally, rather it has been just because of the rules and regulations, that one authority has not been empowered to clear all the bills and clear all the, it has to be cleared by all the hierarchy in the systems, which leads to the delaying in the services, and which also leads to the corruptions. अच्छा आप कुछ दे दो, everything will be done at the time. Yes or no? So red tapeism, where the civil servants following rigorously the rules and regulations, it's going step by step, and this leads to the delay in the delivery services. अब किसी एक काम को, suppose that if you need to get an clearance in the fire department, so first of all you will need to file a form. You have filled your form. Then there is inside, now there will be a inspections will be done. Now there is no date and time of the inspections, so waiting for month or 2 months, कभी तक inspection हुआ ही नहीं. Then again you will visit, हाँ वो बड़े बाबू छुट्टी पर गए हैं. Are you getting my point? Then again when the बड़े बाबू will come after the holiday, अभी थक गया हूँ, छुट्टी मनाकर 2 दिन आराम करूँगा. Then again it will delay the systems. Then inspections will be done after 2 months or 3 months. Then again the report will be submitted. Then again report will be inspected by the senior. कहीं पैसे लेके तो नहीं inspect किया, and everything has done. So this is leading to the delay in the delivery systems, and also leading to the corruptions. So to avoid these systems, now through the electronic media, now through the introductions of an e-governance, now through the advent of the fourth revolutions, and the fourth revolution is a digital revolution. This question has been asked in mains, that after the advent of the fourth revolutions, how the governance has been effective. This is the mains examination questions. So fourth revolution, that is a digital revolutions. And when we talk about the digital revolutions, it means we're talking about the applications of informations and communication technology in the governance. So after the fourth revolutions, this type of red tapeism, now through this the red tapeism will be avoided at many part. Directly you can get fill the forms and you can get all the clearance and everything. The corruptions will be less, though it not be eliminated, but it will be less at the lesser labor, right? So this is red tapeisms. It's clear? Any more questions? Any core questions? No? So shall we start the topic? Let's take, we will do the till governance, write the definitions of the governance and this, then we'll start good governance in the good mood. Okay? Chaliye. So let's start with the governance part. Write a heading governance. Dekhiye, as I told you that now due to the invent of the fourth digital revolutions, everyone is responsible and accountable. It is applicable to me also. This is my first class. Don't let me responsible and answerable to the systems by taking my own discretionary decisions. So let's take the class and we will do this. So governance. The very first topic, write on the governance. Write on the definition of governance. Governance is the exercise of economics, political, and administrative authority. Let me know about the speed, whether it is okay or should I slow down and right. ठीक है, ठीक है. चलिए, governance is the exercise of economic, political and authoritative administrative authority to manage the country's affair at all levels. Now at all levels means at the lowest level also, at the, as we know that we have a 3-tier government, right? And when do we have a when we get a 3-tier government status? 1970, 1993, 92, 93, after the 73rd amendment. Earlier we have only a 2-tier of government, right? So the governance where the economic policies or economic resources of the government, political resources of the government, administrative resources of the government, if we are managing at all level, means from the lower village level to the highest level, that is known as a governance, right? Next point. Governance can be defined as an institutional environment governance can be defined as an institutional environment in which citizens and other stakeholders. Governance can be defined as an institutional environment in which citizens and other stakeholders interact among themselves and participate in public affairs. Next point. Governance is a process of making and enforcing decisions with an organization or society. Governance is the process of making and enforcing decisions within an organization or society. Continue the point. It is the process of interactions through laws, social norms, power, language, as structured in communication, of an organized society over a social system. Clear? Next point. Governance is the process of choosing the right course. Next point. Governance is the process of choosing the right course, C-O-U-R-S-E, course, among the actors involved. Choosing the right course among the actors involved in a collective problems that leads to the creation, reinforcement or reproduction of acceptable conduct and social order. Next point. Governance can include low level responsibilities. Governance can include or encompasses, ENCOM, PASS, that is include low level responsibilities like issuing birth and death certificates, birth or death certificate, driving license and everything. Two, high level responsibilities, to high level responsibilities like setting the budget and managing foreign relations. Setting the high level responsibility like setting the budget and managing the foreign relations, among others. It's clear? So this is a definitions of governance. If in this we can see, now we will see the government and governance. Acha. Government and governance. So as we have seen that there is a difference between government and governance. Now this is clear, right? So what is basically difference? What is government and what is governance? Yes, we can say that. Government we can call it a structure. Government providing the structure. Governance is a process, right? Well, implementing. So structure, based on structure, the governance functions. So in governance, we can also call that it is a machineries of an executive, legislature, judiciary. And the governance, on the other hand, is utilizing this machineries to implement those plans which has been made by the legislature or executive, or decisions have been done by the judiciaries will be implemented. That is known as a governance. It's clear? So make a distinctions column with the three differences between government and governance. Difference between government and governance. This may be not, the question will not be there, but to understand the concept, we need to understand this, right? So write a topic, difference between government and governance. Government and governance. First point under government. Government is the structure which enables and facilitates government is the structure which enables and facilitates the process of governance. Enables and facilitate the process of governance. Second point under the government. It is a machinery and an organs. Government is a machineries and organs. And organs. Government is an machineries and organs which uses power of the state which includes, or the government includes, legislature, executive and judiciary. So government is a machinery and organs which uses the power of the state, which includes legislature, executive and judiciary, right? Now here the term state, what do you mean by the state, term state? Does the state means the this UTs and state? State means what? एक एक करके. Country? Yes. And machineries under the state, like the government as a hand, then legislature, when we talk about the legislature, parliament. So this is a state. So basically we can say that use of a machineries of state means Article 12 or Article 36. It is talking about the Article 12 and Article 36 where the definition of state has been given. Yes or no? Local authorities, parliament and legislature, then state governance and state legislature and other functionaries. So the government is using the machineries of the states, which includes the civil servant under it also, which include the local government also, to implement. So this is government. Is it clear? Third point under the government. It is a formal setup which interact within itself. Which interact within mean inside within a machineries and outside of it. It is a formal setup which interact within and outside of it. Will take a few days to get acclimatized of each other. Now this is government, right? Write down under the governance. First point under governance. So governance is the process whereby various actors. Now here actors means Bollywood, Hollywood, I'm not talking about that. Actors, stakeholders, right? Various actors works for the welfare of peoples. Works for the welfare of the people, like NGOs, SHGs, right? Civil society, civil organization society, then government itself, any individual organizations. So they are all the stakeholders and they all are working towards the welfare of the society or people. Like suppose that in educations, so there under the education policy, government is also providing free education till the 14th years of age, right? And there are certain NGOs also who are also giving them a vocational training, taking a fund from the government and providing a vocational training to that. They are also working towards the welfare of people, training them for the job or for we can skill labors, as in skill labor, like letting them learn about the computer applications. So there are a lot of NGOs working on them. Lot of NGOs working in field of health, and untoward societies where there is the government machineries cannot reach, so the NGOs were functioning in those locality to provide the basic necessities, to provide the health systems, to run the health systems, education systems. So they are doing this in the societies, which means they are also helping the governance to run. So these all government machineries we have seen. Then this NGOs, self-help groups, right? All are being a stakeholder in the governance. Clear? Second point. Governance is carried out by various entities. Carried out by various entities, including the state and other institutions existing outside of another institution existing outside of it. Outside of it means outside the state, right? So here the state does not mean the nation. So entities not existing outside the nations, rather the machinery is what we have learned under the definitions of state under 12, like the legislature, executive, judiciary, civil servant. They all included under the state machineries. Outside these, like NGOs, they are also helping out, right? So outside of it, which includes the civil society organizations, which includes, let me repeat myself, governance is carried out by various entities, including the state and other institutions existing outside of it, which includes, like examples, civil society organization, NGOs, civil society organizations, CSO, NGOs. Outside of it means outside of the state. Now state means, when here in terms of this, state does not mean country, neither an the territory of India. State means machineries. Article 12 में आपने definition of state पढ़ा होगा. Article 36 में the definition of state has been given. Yes or no? So the Article 12 and 36 define the state as an government, union government, legislature of the government, right? Then state government and state legislature, local authorities like panchayat and everything, and other those authorities. So they are the state machineries. Yes or no? So in governance they also included in the part, and some other institutions which are the stakeholders, actors like NGOs. They are not been run by the government, they are not been controlled by the government, they are not been appointed by the government, but they have been run individually. Yes or no? Though they are been run on the laws which is been formulated by the government of the land, but they are not controlled by the government. ठीक है, उनमें pensions या recruitment या that is not done by the government, rather it is an individuals. So they also functions, NGOs, civil society organizations, right? Self-help groups, like then medias, right? Financial institutions. These are the organizations which helping medias, financial institutions, like Sahyog Yojana, like there is small finance bank. The Maharashtra is the highest number of this cooperative banks. Having a cooperative banks, Maharashtra it is the highest, the first in the state which has the highest number of cooperative banks. Small finances banks are there, like NBFC, like Paytm Finance Bank bhi aa chuka abhi, there is a bank. Paytm has also finance bank. So it has been financial institutions which is giving loans, small loans to the this and that, but not an irregular, or we can say that illegal or financial institutions like this money lenders. यहाँ पर उनकी बात नहीं है. The state recognized financial institutions which has been run on the basis of RBI's guidelines. ये local जो आपके money lenders है, तो that is, we are not talking about this. They are not part of the machineries, they are not part of the governance. Getting my point? ठीक है? Next point, last point, third. Though it evolves out of the formal setup, though it evolves out of the formal setup of the state, it expands the scope of government and also intensifies the service delivery system provider, and also intensifies the service delivery provider. It's clear? So this is governance, and this is a difference between the government and governance. So from the next we are going to start, that is good governance, in our next class. Okay? And on which day do we celebrate a good governance? There is a day, 25th of December, known as a Good Governance Day, on the memory of former Prime Ministers Atal Bihari Vajpayee. It's clear? So thank you, and I hope that you like the class. Thank you. So let's meet in the next class, and please be regular in the class. We have a very short 1 minute, please. We have a very small duration of class because of the nature of the subject, and as I said that it will have a questions from directly from the topic. So it is necessary that we should attend the regular classes. The classes will be of nature of 15 to 20 days, not more than that. It will be covered in that. But the class will be sufficient to write an answer in examination. This is for sure. So please be on time and please attend the class.